just something to keep an eye on. Pit stop last year, about 20.5.
Now, once again, fighting with Leclerc and Norris is bringing Lewis Hamilton back into the picture. Norris now has 2 track limit warnings already. That's a problem before we're anywhere near half distance.
And you'll notice he's dropped back a bit on this lap, which I dare say is because he's had to recharge and re-energise his batteries that he might have used up a bit more on the previous lap to get a bit closer. You know, what you're given, it gets taken away again in terms of an advantage or not, and you can't just keep using full battery power lap after lap after lap. While we were watching Norris and Leclerc, Bortoletto pitted, by the way, which is significant in the fact that he started on the soft compound tyre. Stroll and Leclerc also on the soft tyre, still running, but Bortoletto, his tyres were screaming enough, and we're on board now with the Mercedes of George Russell, and the car in front of him is Oscar Piastri. And Russell has got very, very close to Piastri now. And in this lap in particular, just looking here, he's been making some strides and getting a bit closer. So Piastri's got to watch out there, I do think. And Antonelli getting close on Isaac Hadjar down in that battle for 16th.
Now Verstappen with that kind of 7-second lead. He can afford to wait another lap. They don't have to blink first and pit him. He can wait and see what the opposition does with that buffer. The problem for McLaren, if Ferrari pits first, I don't think they've got a bucket load of spare grip to just charge off down the road and do some hot laps to try to get ahead of them in the strategy. I don't think they've got enough grip to do that. So this will be a cat and mouse between McLaren and Ferrari. How many decades have Formula One commentators been saying that?
Quite. The big cheese, though, in that cat and mouse game today is Max Verstappen. This is playing out absolutely delightfully for him. Here comes Lando Norris again, and I think this time looking a little bit down the inside. Leclerc has gone to the wide right-hand side. Lando needs, I think, a little dive down the inside here. That might be the only way he's going to get past. No chance at turn 14.
Well, remember Charles' party trick yesterday against his teammate, which was quite brutal, against Lewis Hamilton down there. I mean, he had him sort of almost on the grass, didn't he? Down on the sort of uncharted territory on the back straight.
So Kimi Antonelli putting pressure on Isaac Hadjar within DRS range, and now we're seeing Lando Norris in DRS range, still putting pressure on Charles Leclerc. There goes Antonelli down the inside on the Racing Bulls, stays within track limits, and that should get the job done. Antonelli trying to make his way back up after that contact with the Carlos Sainz that has seen Sainz retire from this race, and Antonelli spun around and sent to the back.
Now, once again, they pulled away from Lewis Hamilton when they're not squabbling, but Lando desperately needs to get this done for his championship points today. And yeah, just that extra 4 meters of grip and confidence around the outside of turn 1 put Leclerc into play here, and it's really helped Max Verstappen out beautifully up front. He must be coasting out there, looking after his tyres so nicely.
I mean, he needs and he wants, I'm sure, to get that second place. The plus side for Norris is he's still 2 places clear of his teammate, who is the championship leader.
Wow.
Once again, the rivals, Oscar Piastri's rivals, will be taking more points than him if it stays this way throughout the race. Norris a bit too far back once again, certainly to make a move. Hamilton is right there, keeping a watching brief, and this is like a patient, jabbing, cat-and-mouse game, sparring game between the protagonists out there, as Albon now closing up on Isaac Hadjar, who really is struggling on those hard tyres.
So McLaren need, it's 21 seconds for a stop. They can't do that at the moment. That would put them right back in behind Nico Hulkenberg in 9th. So they can't pit Norris and try to undercut, use the fresh tyres. And so he's got to carry on. It's just not a window to drop him into. They all have to carry on for the time being.
There is a window for Leclerc. If he wanted to pit now, he'd come out ahead of Fernando Alonso, and
but behind Hulkenberg, as I said, same with Norris, and Beerman, Sonoda. You don't want to drop into that squabble.
That's very true. Albon on Hadjar, the squabble continues, as you can see on the left-hand side. Round the outside goes Alex Albon, trying to do what Sebastian Vettel did to Kevin Magnussen here a few years ago, but not succeeding on this particular lap. Getting very frustrated, I'm sure, is Alex Albon, who has pitted in this race. He and Gabriel Bortoletto, the only 2 that have pitted so far.
Still.
Now, what can Lando Norris do once again to try and get past Charles Leclerc? He's going to have a go, I think, here. He's within half a second. So, those tyres are looking ever more horrible on that left-hand side as the DRS is open now. 21 kilometres an hour of extra speed. Now, he's gaining. Leclerc's going to force him wide. This time around, Lando Norris is wheel-to-wheel, but Leclerc can go deeper into the corner. The switchback didn't work there. Norris tries to go round the outside. Looking good for him, but Leclerc absolutely closes the door, slam shut, says you ain't coming in.
And that's another track limits infringement for Lando Norris. Then he's really under pressure now on that. So that's his third one for Norris, because he had to take avoiding action, but it was still track limits. He wasn't left a whole lot of racing space out there, but he's got to keep trying something.
Absolutely. 3 track limit warnings there for Lando Norris, who I dare say wouldn't mind a change of wind direction, because that tailwind down the back straight is probably making the DRS just that little bit less effective here this afternoon.
So Norris has been told to pit to overtake. Is it another bluff by McLaren, or is he going to pit at the end of this lap?
Well, the undercut is certainly worth something here if you're going onto the medium tyre. If you're going onto the hard, forget it. They take a long time to warm up. So, Ted Kravitz, do you see any activity down in the pit lane?
I see one mechanic having a look at a wheel gun, and that's it. They're about 6 laps too early, and especially if they're all trying to extend the medium tyre because they don't want to go onto the hard. This would be a bit of a weird one, but we've seen other things. Just by the way, while I'm on, Crofty, I've asked McLaren what's going on with Oscar Piastri's pace. Just seems so slow compared to Norris. The answer, he is saving his tyres, trying to keep his tyres alive with the issues we've heard he's had with the front. But that gives us some answer as to what happened to Oscar's pace. Still no mechanics in the McLaren pit box. Let me know if they do.
Less than a car's length between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris at turn 12, but once again, Lando Norris has to stay in 3rd place. Lance Stroll is the one that's making moves. Another place up for him. He's currently running 12th. He's got past Pierre Gasly on this lap. So was that a bluff? Pit to overtake. They'll be running out of the garages now.
Stay out, he's been told now. Stay out, but what the double issue here, the double jeopardy for McLaren is the pace of that struggling Ferrari on those soft tyres is meaning means they're not getting the gap behind that they need, that McLaren need to slot him into.
Antonelli, another overtake, up into 15th. Esteban Ocon has been cleared. Isaac Hadj has been cleared. They're on the hard tyre. Antonelli's got Colapinto up next.
Warning flag then. 3 strikes for Lando Norris. Another strike, and it's a 5-second penalty. That's an awful long way to go without running off the track here.
One more.
And Charles Leclerc will be one of the first to know that after you all at home.
It's a struggle for Lando Norris out there since he was passed by Charles Leclerc at turn 1 on the opening lap. Turn 1 has not been his friend so far this weekend. Now, he is way closer to Charles Leclerc on this occasion than he has been all race long. The Ferrari has been hanging on to that 2nd place. Now, under 4 tenths between Leclerc and Norris, but the DRS opens. This time he'll get alongside Surely. He's going wheel to wheel. He's got ahead. Charles Leclerc has to settle for 3rd place as they go through turn 12 on lap 21. He's finally, Lando Norris, got the job done.
And he knew he had to stay in track limits when he got there, and he did. He was super cautious, was Lando. But now, once again, and it all looks a bit wide, but he should be able to scamper off down the road now, Lando Norris, and use the pace he's got in those tyres.
I know you're busy. We just had our 3rd strike, track limits, turn 13. We think you were pushed off, but we've had a black and white flag, so be careful.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. But we have to tell you, we know you don't want to hear it, but just so you know, I think is that message there. DRS for Charles Leclerc, of course, down that main straight, but Lando Norris has got better pace, and now he's free. He's only got near enough 11 seconds between himself and Max Verstappen to try and close the gap.
Yeah, but Lando needs a tremendous first sector here to get out of the DRS, out of risk of that Ferrari just opening its rear wing and coming back at him with an action replay in reverse.
14 points the gap between Piastri and Norris, 40 points the gap between Piastri and Verstappen. If it stays this way, between now and the checkered flag. And that then starts to, I think, prey on the mind of even the calmest, coolest, most level-headed championship leader.
Ferrari might be thinking of letting Lewis Hamilton through. He's on the medium compound tyres. It won't be long before he's saying, look, he's holding me up. I need to get past him. Well, this is going to be it. He's going to do it for himself, isn't he? But Charles Leclerc's not going to make that easy, is he?
Well, he's not.
At all.
He's not making it easy in the slightest. The switcheroo from Lewis Hamilton. Leclerc forces him wide. They almost make contact. The two Ferraris scrapping away just like they were in the sprint race yesterday when Hamilton did manage to get past. On this occasion, it hasn't happened yet, but let's try the old switchback once more, and not to be done. Ferrari, no podium finishes in the last 5 races. They're running in the podium at the moment, and they're almost running each other off the road.
Yeah, they're going to pit Leclerc. That was silly holding Lewis up on that lap like that. So they're pitting him, which will give him a lap extra over Lewis on the fresh tyres. This will also catch McLaren's attention because he'll come out on fresh tyres and he'll be faster than Norris again. Now, McLaren have to pit Norris right now
to cover him, or they just go longer and think a tyre offset at the end helps him.
Yeah, but of course they've got to go on to soft tyres, haven't they, McLaren? Whereas he's now got the mediums on that he'll be able to run to the end of the Grand Prix. So that's quite smart. This is working well for Ferrari, but how much pace has Lando Norris got to stretch out this part of the this phase of the Grand Prix? Ted.
And because Leclerc started on the soft, it's a brand new medium, Martin. He's just put on, so he's going to be as quick as lightning, isn't he, out there? No response from McLaren yet.
Lewis Hamilton's just set the fastest first sector. Now he's been freed up and has a bit of clear air ahead of him. So the first of the top 3 has pitted. Charles Leclerc. Now let's see who follows him in, and if anyone follows him in. Zak Brown, CEO of McLaren, watching on from the pit wall. Well, it's as you were for Lando Norris. If he'd have stayed ahead of Charles Leclerc at the start, could have been a lot easier afternoon for him, Zach.
Yeah, that was a bit of hard work there, so glad we cleared him, but let's see how our pace is now.
What's the feedback from Oscar, Zach? He's obviously struggling a little bit.
Yeah, he just hasn't had the pace this weekend that Lando's had, so I think what you see is what you got there, and Lando will see if there's any more pace, trying to figure out what our tire strategy and sequence is here.
Zach, you are one of the chirpiest, most cheeriest people I've ever come across, not just in Formula One, but has this been a bit of a depressing weekend for you?
No, it's been a tough weekend, but not depressing. Tough weekend, you're going to have them, but long way to go. P2, P4 at the moment, so let's see how we finish.
Zach, thanks ever so much. We're on board with Lewis Hamilton running in 3rd place in Austin.
He's got so little grip in that Ferrari at the moment on those tyres, Lewis Hamilton. He's going nicely, don't get me wrong, but you can just tell how long he has to wait on the apexes of the corners before he can get back on the programme.
9 podium finishes here in Austin for Lewis Hamilton.
Is that PS3 as well?
10th would be his first podium finish for Ferrari in his 19th Grand Prix start for Ferrari. Was it not Didier Pironi all those years ago? He needed 19 races to score his first podium for the team. He won the San Marino Grand Prix in 1982. That's the longest run by any Ferrari driver before securing a Grand Prix podium. Could history be about to repeat itself and Lewis Hamilton stand on the podium for a first time as a Ferrari driver? He, of course, does have to pit again.
I think Leclerc's babysitting his fresh tyres. We're not seeing stunning sector times, and nor should we really, otherwise he'll take too much life out of them. He needs to bring those new tyres in to coax them to the end of the Grand Prix, does Charles Leclerc. But the telling point for him is he will catch Hülkenberg, Beerman and Tsunoda relatively quickly.
He kind of wants to catch them, Martin, just as they think it's about time to pit.
Yeah.
But when you start on the soft tyre and there on the mediums, that is easier said than done, because you're going to have to go a lot slower than you possibly want to do. That's the trouble with a two-stop strategy. It might enable you to push more, but if overtaking is that much more difficult today, then hanging it out for a one-stopper and keeping track position might be the way forward. We're on board with car 23, who is having to make his way through the field. Alex Albon, as Esteban Ocon as the next car ahead of him. No, he does, because Ocon's in the pits.
It's nice when you see a car peel off in front of you could really do with getting rid of. But the flip side of that is coming down the pit straight and seeing a car that you thought you were ahead of emerge in front of you out of the pit lane.
Right.
And when you're sitting in the pit lane or trundling down the pit lane and they're flat out down the pit straight, you just feel like you're being left behind.
Ocon then will come out right at the back of the 19 runners still left in this race. Carlos Sainz, the one driver to retire after he went down the inside on Kimi Antonelli, made contact, too much damage on the Williams. Antonelli sent into the gravel, and he's recovered now to 14th in this race. As we start lap 26 of 56, there's your race leader. Barely talked about him. He's barely had any threat whatsoever after he pulled out the 1 second gap on the opening lap. And well, this is back to vintage Max Verstappen territory this afternoon.
It is, isn't it? He's looked so comfortable, hasn't he? He's qualifying his starts, pacing himself, and in a class of one out the front there.
Every time he speaks, you can see he's in a very happy zone at the moment, on track and off track. When a journalist asked him on Thursday, what are your chances of winning the championship? He said 50-50. Well, I either win it or I don't. I'm taking each race as it comes. I'm not thinking beyond the end of the race that we're at, and that's the way it's going to be between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, indeed. And that's all he just managed down expectations. He's still got to take a lot of points off the McLarens every race, but if they continue to perform like this, then that's sort of doable. Although I think McLaren are really hurting for not having the knowledge of yesterday's race. That first corner collision between the pair of them and many others has really hurt them. So now we're on board with Leclerc as he starts to catch the Sauber then of Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah,
Hülkenberg really struggling to turn the car. So Leclerc, I think, will sail past the similarly engined Sauber down the back straight.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think Hülkenberg will fight that one too hard.
And he did not. Charles Leclerc up into 8th place, leaves Hülkenberg in 9th, still in the points where he hasn't finished since Silverstone, when he got that podium, of course. And on a pointless run of F1 races ever since then. The gap remains 11 seconds out in front. Lando Norris now in 2nd place. Charles Leclerc pitting. He's left him 33 laps to go to the end on the medium tyre. Last year, the longest medium tyre stint was 32 laps by Oscar Piastri, just to give you a bit of context. Alex Albon has caught Franco Colapinto. Alex Albon has passed Franco Colapinto. Unless Colapinto can steam down the inside just like that. That was very nearly contact with the front wing of the Williams, but Albon looks to have judged it absolutely perfectly as he retakes that position and scampers round the right-hander and off into 15th place.
Those kind of sections, we had them in Hockenheim, we had them in Istanbul, those kind of sections always generate overtaking, because in the end you just can't keep defending.
Tyres have becoming tricky.
Yeah, we think maybe conditions are changing a little bit here, Max.
Now, we saw that in qualifying a little bit yesterday, where the track getting melted by the hot sun, you know, started to get a little bit slower, a bit of a glaze on the surface as well. Could that be what Max Verstappen is talking about?
Yeah, I think it might be the wind conditions as well, but Max still hasn't got any back markers in sight for a lot of laps yet, and he's got half a pit stop advantage in his pocket. They really can, I think that was just general conversation going on there. They really can just keep pushing and waiting for the others, and then they've got 2 laps to react if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like Max is gonna run away with this one. Norris has not really, doesn't look capable, does it? Like,
their moments on that one, no need to hurry. Ted Kravitz looking at a pit lane that's kind of devoid of action so far, and we're at lap 28.
So far, but we're just approaching. Go and make your cup of tea now, everyone, because in about 2 or 3 laps' time, it'll be then that they can put the soft tyre on and have a decent enough chance of going to the end. So I think lap 30, lap 32, something like that, then you could put the soft tyre on and go to the end. So that's what we're looking at strategy-wise. The top 7 now, down to Behrman, all just hanging it out on the medium, then go to the soft.
Well, Leclerc's not going as fast as I thought he would be. He's done a 39.4, for example. Norris a 39.7. Leclerc on the fresh medium tyres. We know he's going to have to eke those out a little bit, but I really thought he would be flying along a little bit faster than that.
Is it the case, maybe as we saw yesterday, that on the medium tyre, the Ferrari didn't have the pace relative to the others than they had on the soft? They came alive at the end of qualifying, didn't they?
So they did. Ferrari, Hamilton been told to lift and coast. Lyco, that means lift off before the corner. We're not on board with him at the moment. Let the aerodynamics slow the car down and then hit the brakes. That's probably for plank wear underneath the car. They know what they've got to do, and also a little bit for fuel as well, because we've not really had we had that little bit of virtual safety car. They all start the race under-fueled, because you don't want to carry any spare fuel around with you.
Charles Leclerc up into 7th place. That headwind into the S's was producing the sort of conditions that could improve lap times by about 2 seconds a lap, because you get more downforce through the S's compared to what the drivers were doing on Friday, which of course is going to use up that little bit more fuel because you can go faster. So fuel could be that, but are Ferrari worried about plank wear again?
Well, we know that Ferrari only works when it's really low to the ground, and plank wear here underneath it. There's like a legality plate underneath the car, and if you wear that too much, and it's protected heavily by skid blocks, if you wear that too much, you will be thrown out, and Ferrari know that painfully well.
Yeah, they do. Charles Leclerc disqualified here from a race. Lewis Hamilton from the same race as well for plank wear when they were running for different teams. Gasly's stop was a little bit slower than they would have wanted at Alpine. Stroll now comes into the pits. Karun Chandok's at the race control.
Lots of chat on the radio, Crofty, about extending this current stint, avoiding the hard tyre and switching to the soft. So obviously what they're trying to do is make this stint on the mediums as long as possible, so you have less to do on the soft tyre. Piastri's been asked the question, Verstappen's been asked the question, Norris has been asked the question, and I think they're all leading that way.
Thoughts on a soft to get to the end from here?
I think difficult for me now.
Copy.
So can you go another 10 laps or so?
Yeah, the follow-on to that conversation was difficult from here. Let's try and extend.
Yeah, so nobody's been out on the hard compound tyres looking particularly fast, have they, earlier on in the Grand Prix? And this is the next target then for Charles Leclerc, who will sweep around the outside and take the position.
A little bit trickier than the previous 2 overtakes, but he's got the job done. 6th place now for Charles Leclerc, and George Russell a little bit further up the road. Gap now 10 seconds between Verstappen and Norris, is Verstappen having to manage his pace with the tyres getting a little bit trickier. Gap's gone down by about a second, which is pretty much inconsequential as it stands currently. Hamilton lifting and coasting, lapping in the 140s, runs in 3rd. Oscar Piastri was 7/10 slower than Hamilton on that previous lap, and Tsunoda now comes in. So a change of tyres at Red Bull. It will be the soft tyre eventually going on that front left. That's a little bit slower than normal, 3.4 seconds. And here's some valuable data for Max Verstappen now that his teammate's on the soft.
Absolutely. Norris's pace is great at the moment on those tyres. He's currently 21 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, who is effectively racing. Leclerc, who's pitted, is down in 6th. A pit stop is 21 seconds. So McLaren extending and Norris putting in the good laps.
Oscar Russell is within undercut range. Would you prefer to pit first onto a soft, or let him go and have to pass on track?
Probably go first.
So yeah, avoid any drama, avoid any dangers of possible contact, get in.
I'd rather defend than attack. Yeah, and that probably sums up Oscar's weekend. It's been a difficult weekend for him, hasn't it? But he is still very much up there in 4th place.
Yeah,
and would still leave here, leading the World Championship.
Well, I was going to say from 5th down to Hadjar in last place, but they quite like the difficult weekend that leaves him in 4th.
Yes.
there's only 3 who are going to have a better difficult weekend than Oscar Piastri, who is going to be coming in. Ted, down to you.
Is there Team Radio Crofty? I think Mercedes are going to react and try and see that one off at the pass. In fact, I think we might have both of them in.
No,
there's Piastri in now.
Yeah, George Russell's actually coming
no,
past
they've
you
gone
on
back
the track.
in. Yeah, they've gone back in. So they were thinking of seeing that off. Mercedes were thinking of seeing that off at the pass, but no, it is Piastri onto a used set of softs, and on he goes.
So he'll be heading up to turn 1 behind Nico Hülkenberg. The gap between Hülkenberg and Alonso is so wide you could fit many Formula 1 cars into it. Because that is the next car coming through now. So it's a long way. 31 lap out of, we're on lap 31 out of 56. It's a long way to go on a set of soft tyres now for Oscar Piastri.
It is. He's in reasonably clear here. He's only got Hülkenberg to pass between him and Leclerc. Mercedes have played the do whatever he doesn't do and stayed on track, as George Russell doesn't stay on track down at turn 12. And yes, that means then that that Piastri he's got to babysit those tyres a little bit towards the end, but he'll have track position as long as he doesn't punish them too much. But it is a very long way to go on them.
That's given him 4/10 of extra babysitting points there. That lock-up by George Russell.
Yeah, there's 2. And also, of course, you've burned up more than half your fuel load. They start with about 110 kilograms of fuel on board. That's like putting 2 light passengers in the car with you.
So there's that current gap between George Russell and Oscar Piastri. 17.9 seconds. Russell pits.
Okay, my stream just disappeared. Right, what can I do now? Just have to see and wait for it to come back. But it's looking peak right now. Lewis seems to be doing what he needs to do. Doesn't have to do any 3-hour tricks. Just got to keep doing what he's been doing. Have a look what we got here. Max is still up top. Lewis pitted and he came out P6. That's not bad, P6.
Because they won't be able to fix things.
Yeah, because 1.5 seconds at the end of the Grand Prix could make a big difference.
We shall see. We're on lap 33, and the driver, before he won a World Championship, who run number 33, is leading by almost 33 seconds. No, not that far at all, a third of that. He had an 11-second gap on Lando Norris when Norris pitted. So a little look here. That's why Lando was so insistent that it was box now, because he just locked up.
But at least he didn't go off the track, otherwise he'd have got a 5-second penalty.
Into the pits comes Max Verstappen, and the pit stop is probably the biggest threat to Max Verstappen and victory here this afternoon, because no one on track can hold a candle. To him in terms of pace, And the clock is ticking and they're waiting for him. He stops on his marks. Up it goes on the jack. And there was no threat whatsoever for a pit stop, was it? 2.6 seconds, solid, done, and out he goes again. George Russell will be coming into pit. We'll watch this one with a bit more of a keen interest to see where Oscar Piastri is when Russell comes out. But there's Verstappen into the pits, and he carries on in the lead of this race from Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris in third. Stop there for Russell, beautifully executed by the Mercedes team. 2.3 seconds. Piastri is powering his way down the main straight towards turn 1. 80 kilometers an hour for George Russell until he gets to the line. And as he gets to the line, he can almost see the McLaren disappearing through turn 1.
26 people doing 32 different manoeuvres on a pit stop in just over 2 seconds. That just shouts F1 to me.
Just a bit. Hulkenberg came into the pits as well, comes out behind Ollie Behrman. Everyone has pitted now, at least once I should say, in this race. And we've had an experiment with the tyres, go a step harder with the hard tyre, leave a gap, and then the medium and the soft, and the idea was to promote a two-stop race. I'm not sure that that experience necessarily worked or has made the racing any worse, but we've got a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, it's not worked, has it, really, basically? The hard compound tyre, nobody fancies very much. Those that did start on it, they didn't really do wonders for them. They got rid of them as soon as they could. And that is why the leaders have gone medium soft or soft medium.
You almost have to go C4, C5 for the medium and the soft, which are definitely not going to last quite as long to promote that two-stopper if that is the way to go. Behrman and Tsunoda now. It's going to be quite a tussle, couldn't it? Ollie Behrman has been on his tyres for 3 laps and Yuki Tsunoda for 4, and he goes straight across there and spins around, and somehow Yuki Tsunoda manages to avoid him, and that could have been both cars making contact and out of the race. As it is, Ollie Behrman loses out in terms of track position.
He went for the lunge.
Yeah.
He went for the lunge and got squeezed on the apex, and then hung on to the brake pedal, and it swapped ends on him.
Whew, that could have been race ending for both. Nico Hulkenberg is going to mount a challenge to Behrman and probably get him by turn 1. As we look at the replay now, a lot of dirt.
Yeah, Behrman will say, look, he changed direction. He changed direction while I was in mid-manoeuvre. There's a little swerve to the left. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
He moved under braking, says Ollie Behrman. He did.
He did.
And then he moved back again, but it was too late by that stage.
Yeah.
And Ollie had to go onto the grass. I wonder if the stewards will have a look at that. Sadly, we didn't get to look at Nico Hulkenberg and Ollie Behrman as that carried on, because Hulkenberg has got ahead and moved up into 8th place.
Yeah, really dirty tyres and flat-spotted tyres now on Behrman's Haas, unfortunately.
Could be a bit costly in terms of his pace from here on in.
Norris is catching Leclerc very quickly. Leclerc only 6.4 behind Verstappen as well. So they've closed up a little bit, haven't they, through the pit stop phase? Because actually now the top 3 are all in the pit straight together.
Yeah, there we go. Just about in the pit stop together. Verstappen, Leclerc and Norris have all just set their fastest laps of the race so far. For Max Verstappen, he was about 4/10 faster than Charles Leclerc. He was about 3/10 slower than Lando Norris.
Pre-pit stop, they were 11. Remember, Norris was 11.1 seconds behind Verstappen. He's now 8.4, albeit in 3rd place, 8.4 behind. So it's coming back together. Right, what happened on this stop? Looks like he's on his marks.
They needed a second go, didn't they?
The right front gun again. Struggling. It's odd.
I wonder if there is something with the wheel guns at McLaren. He definitely needed 2 stabs at that one. Gap's 1.5 seconds between Leclerc and Norris, though, as he'll be picking up a slipstream down that back straight. A lot of marbles now It's off the racing line, which makes overtaking that much more difficult.
It's like a goat track down the racing line that they've all got to follow, isn't it? There's so much discarded rubber, and it always comes off at the end of the straights, because that's your VMAX, your top speed, where it's most likely to get flicked off the tyre.
That 36 of 56. It's been a very comfortable afternoon here in Texas so far for Max Verstappen, who could take a 7th career Grand Slam today. This will be one short, I think, of the all-time record that Jim Clark has held since 1965. Behind him...
Lando Norris with a leery slide coming off turn 19. He's got to be so careful of track limits.
Well, I was going to just mention that in a moment. He is on a warning, a black and white flag for exceeding track limits 3 times. One more, and it's a 5-second penalty. And of course, he had a 5-second penalty here last year for something completely different, but could do without successive 5-second penalties here at the Circuit of the Americas. He's still catching Leclerc, though, as you can see, with the gap now down under 1.3 seconds. Leclerc, I should say, running second for a Ferrari team that are podiumless in the last 5 races. Hamilton running 4th, currently about 8.5 seconds off the top 3. The man in the Mercedes, the seat he used to occupy, Kimi Antonelli, is currently catching Pierre Gasly ahead of him. Antonelli was running beautifully in the points until Carlos Sainz went down the inside, and they both made contact, and they're both going to have to see the stewards about that after the race.
Now, Lando might be on the soft compound tyre. It'll give him more grip, but it's 10 laps younger than the tyres on the Ferrari of young Charlie Leclerc there.
Antonelli making good use of his soft compound tyre that he's had on for 5 laps against Pierre Gasly's, who's been on for 9, and making the smooth
of young Charlie Leclerc there.
Antonelli making good use of his soft compound tyre that he's had on for 5 laps against Pierre Gasly's, who's been on for 9, and making the smooth laps before he decided it was actually worth getting out and putting another set of tyres on. And Alex Albon, sorry, I missed that on the screen, has stopped twice too, currently running in 10th place, but he had to stop way earlier in this race after being hit by Bortoletto in the opening lap.
Yeah, that McLaren was moving around again. Lando thrashing it for all it's worth, as he can see now that he's in DRS range. Karun at Sky Race Control.
Has been listening to you, Martin, because he's just told Lando Norris, don't hate me, but no more track limits. They're aware of this 5-second penalty, because if he gets in front of Leclerc, he will then have to pull out an extra 5 seconds. Not impossible, but it'll just make it harder for him to get the extra points for 2nd place.
Gabriel Bortoletto is another facing the doom of the black and white flag and the potential of a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, as is Alex Albon. He's the latest to be shown that black and white flag. Right, here's Lando Norris within 9/10 of a second down that back straight. Now on the soft tyre is the
But you can't blame Ferrari for that. They chose a very good strategy into the first corner.
They certainly did. Well, going on that soft tyre, getting the launch off the line and making the move has brought dividends for Charles Leclerc. Lance Stroll starts on the soft compound tyre too. Lance Stroll's making a move on Liam Lawson. Now he's on the mediums into turn 1. Lawson will fight that back down the hill and stay in 11th place. We'll watch that battle as we watch Norris and Leclerc too.
Yeah, and Leclerc will be being reminded also of Norris's track limit delicacy, really. If he's gonna, he'll know if he threatens to push him anywhere wide, Norris will have to get out of it. Having said that, Norris is 9 seconds ahead of Hamilton, so a 5-second penalty would still leave him in his current 3rd position.
I'm surprised that Sonoda Behrman incident wasn't at least noted by race control. Nothing has come up at all. There definitely seemed to be a little jink to the left.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, there was well, there wasn't even contact, was there? It wasn't actually contact, but
because Tsunoda then moved back to the right again as Ollie hit the dirt.
So this is worth an extra 3 World Championship points to Lando Norris. Fight with Max Verstappen for the World Championship and Oscar Piastri, of course.
I'm talking to Mark Webber, Oscar's manager, earlier today, and he said there's nothing wrong, you know, with Oscar. His head's up, his chin's up. Yeah, he's lost a few points in his lead, but he's still got a very healthy lead out in front. If another race goes by, you know, you've got to reverse the trend at some stage, and there's still an awful long way to go in this season. And I think it's going to give us, like you, Martin, an absolutely blockbuster finish this year. And yes, I think Oscar Piastri has absolutely got the mental capacity to cope with this fight. And if you remember back to F3, his championship-winning F3 season, his lead got whittled down there, and he coped very well with the pressure.
Yeah, Oscar needs a solid weekend again, doesn't he, in Mexico next week?
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Right. Which is
so
very good news for Leclerc.
Softs are not happy. So yeah, they were lap hole from qualifying when they went on those tyres, and he's sliding around a lot. Oh dear.
Well, that will be music to the ears of everyone at Maranello. If Charles Leclerc has spent this race holding off Lando Norris, it might be slightly easier in the last 15 or so laps if the tyres are gone. Kimi Antonelli is the latest driver to be shown the black and white flags. There's more black and white flag action than Pirates of the Caribbean here this afternoon, Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Albon being told that it's he's got the 3 strikes, and he said, "Why didn't you tell me? I had 2." And his engineer said, "Yeah, sorry about that, didn't mention it." Oh, team radio.
Lando complaining about tyres now. This will be more fragile, so I do think we need to look after it, Max.
I wonder whether Verstappen thinks that's a bluff from Norris, because he seems to be going okay. Just a line on Oscar Piastri. I'm just looking at his lap times. No improvement, not closing on Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton being dropped himself by this Leclerc and Norris fight. And I know, Crofty, it's already Monday morning in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But Oscar Piastri, the weekend he's had, must be feeling like, well, what does a famous commentator say? Like a toothache on a wet Monday morning. What a weekend for Oscar Piastri. Yeah. Just making no impact on this Grand Prix. Has not felt the car underneath him all weekend. Got taken out. Well, took his teammate out by extension in the sprint, and now stuck behind Lewis Hamilton and going nowhere.
So Norris has been told, let your tyres cool down a bit, they'll come back to you, they're good to go again. So let the surface temperature just calm a little. Bit, maybe back off a little bit and then come at him. But as they weren't brand spanking new soft tyres, the tyre delta, the tyre difference is actually only 4 laps. So here Leclerc has got more longevity in his tyres, there's no doubt about it. The way they've run it has been very clever from Ferrari.
Happy Monday if you're watching us down in Melbourne. Glad to have your company. It hasn't been the best weekend for Oscar, but a new week and maybe a change of luck by the time we get to Mexico next week for our latest installment of this championship battle, where either Max Verstappen wins a 5th world title this year, or Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri make a 1st world title theirs, or George Russell does something absolutely magnificent and manages to keep his championship chances mathematically alive and a bit more physically alive. Interestingly, Martin, if Lando Norris does finish 3rd here, he'll be what, 17 points behind behind Oscar in the championship. How many points did he lose in Zandvoort with that DNF? 18 points.
Yeah.
I know championships are not won and lost with one particular race, but it's
yeah, and the clout in Canada, of course.
And the clout in Canada too.
Tripped over the back of Piastri's car. Luckily, Piastri was able to carry on. But watching Lando coming out of the turn 11 hairpin at the far end of the track, he was struggling for traction. back end of the car was sliding around. So let's see if he can bring those tyres back to life and have a final run in the closing stages of this Grand Prix.
So you don't think Lando was bluffing in any way, shape or form about those tyres?
No, I think they're too hot.
That's the state of the tyres, and that's the slide in slow motion that you can see, and every time that happens it puts more heat through the tyres and it affects the surface and slows you down.
Very light graining on those tyres of Norris's.
Can you drive through that?
Sometimes, yeah, it's very mild graining, but you just, what you want is that lovely, consistent sheen. So Verstappen saying he's sliding around a lot, he's keeping his lead. Norris just had a really scruffy lap somewhere and has dropped down to 2.2 seconds behind, or indeed letting that gap just build. So why would Max Verstappen suddenly be sliding around a lot? Meanwhile, let's talk to Karun.
Yeah, Lando's definitely been told, cool the tyres down, and it's tricky, Martin, isn't it? Because you get to that crossover point where they've now all done 10 laps, 10, 11, 12 laps in this stint, plus the 16 laps. That's a crossover where the medium starts to be quicker. And I think that's what Ferrari are hoping on. They just need to hang on a couple more laps, and then they have the tyre advantage with longevity on the medium.
So I under 7 seconds, just under, between Verstappen and Leclerc. Is that a big enough buffer for Max Verstappen to hold on comfortably between now and the end of the race? I mean, time will tell as he crosses the line, puts in the 1:38.5, and Charles Leclerc crosses the line and puts in the 1:38.6. So last lap, Max was actually a 1/10 of a second faster, and it all happened for him really in the middle and the final stint sector. And that just looks just as I was saying, so there'll be 4 points between them by the end of this race. Constructors Champions, as I said, McLaren, their CEO is Zach Brown. Zach, thanks for joining us. This race could have been so different. It isn't. It looks like Lando is going to have to put up with third place here. What are the state of his tyres that you're hearing?
Yeah, not great. I think had we got past Leclerc earlier on, maybe we would have given Max a race, but we did it, so we have it. So all we can try and do now is get in front of Leclerc. Verstappen's out of range.
Yeah, it's going to be time for a reset, Zach, isn't it?
less than stellar weekend and go again in Mexico.
Just a thought as well, Zach, about your pit stops and the second pit stop again that was a little slower than the first. Is there a problem with the hardware that's causing this?
Piastri currently sitting on 5th. If Hamilton push, he could actually catch Norris. We could have a Ferrari podium, second and third, possibly. But where is Lewis at the minute? I don't even know. Lewis is currently sitting, what, 4th? We need the cameras to switch back. I want to see what's going on behind Norris. Show us what's going on by Norris.
Russell to Piastri. He's on 3 laps
inches. Norris is closing on Leclerc though. Down, he's not quite in DRS at the detection point it seems, but he's really coming at him now.
He needs everything working for him, and to arrive on the scene, get the overtake done quickly. So a fully charged battery to attack for a lap, get the move done, maybe down that back straight before his tyres overheat once again. Because he's dropped back, let that tyre cool down, and gone through that grading stage that you were talking about, Lando Norris. Now he is going to be within DRS range through that next detection zone. Right there, you saw the white line across the track, and he'll get DRS along the main straights. And that's going to really help him. Although he's still sliding out of Andretti, that final corner.
It was, but he knows he's got to stay within track limits, otherwise, but he's a dozen seconds ahead of Hamilton, so he won't lose third place, and it's worth an attack, even if he gets to track limits 5 seconds now. For Lando Norris, it's worth, as long as he doesn't lose a wheel or some bodywork, it's worth him having a go for those extra 3 World Championship points.
Yeah, 1.6 seconds then, the gain over the last 6 laps for Lando Norris. It's been another patient moment and a bit of coaching, a bit of help from the pit wall as well. Don't give up here, there might still be a chance. I feel Charles Leclerc should be on the better tyre.
Can Hamilton generally go on the podium? Or am I just dreaming? I don't think he can.
With 60% remaining, and he'll be using that with what's left, that 60% down this back straight.
DRS then done too far behind on this occasion. And also, by now, Leclerc knows all the tricks that Norris has got in that, but in different tyres now. And you see the Ferrari moving about under acceleration, but so is the McLaren. We're on board now. And that's so slow in those corners, isn't it? When the tyres are going away. This is a brilliant section through here. Rips your head off your shoulders with the G loadings.
Right on the white line for Lando Norris. Out of turn 19. That looks a bit slidey from Charles Leclerc that time around.
They're just starting to miss a little bit of traction. That will give Norris all the confidence.
He's gone down the inside.
Whoa!
I thought it might happen, Martin. Charles Leclerc saw that coming. Felt that the switchback was the right way to defend. But that's the first time we've seen Lando have a go at Charles Leclerc down at turn 1, or up at turn 1 as we should say.
Yeah. So Norris got in there so hot, he was always going to struggle to make the apex. And Leclerc telegraphed it. Saw it
Norris is crazy, man.
and drove beautifully.
He just had enough. And he saw that little squirmy, slidey exit from Charles Leclerc to have a go, and he is so close now. Coming out of turn 11 to pick up the slipstream, to use the battery, to use the DRS.
Here comes again.
Down this back straight where he has got past Charles Leclerc. Wanted this race to take second place, and he's now trying to do it to make it count to the checkered flag. Norris down the inside, and he takes that second place away from the struggling Ferrari. It's taken him a while. He'd almost given up mentally. He was told by the pit wall, just hang on in there. Chances will come your way. They have. It's Verstappen from Norris once more.
He cooled his tyres, but I think also the Ferrari started to lose its rear tyres a bit. Once again now, Norris needs some perfect corners to finish this lap and start the next lap. Otherwise the Ferrari will be in his DRS zone, and it looks pretty quick in a straight line. So super neat and clean then. But that was very aggressive. Keep the pressure on. He has 3 strikes.
3 strikes. He's got 3 strikes. Keep the pressure coming. Keep the pressure on. Keep the pressure on. He's on 3 strikes. That's the message from the pit.
And that's what it does in the Drivers' Championship as for Piastri, 3-3-2 for Norris, 14 points the difference. It'll go down well on a glorious Sunday evening in Glastonbury. It will probably add to the Monday morning gloom if you're watching in Melbourne. Long, long way to go. And the two drivers at McLaren will be separated by 14 points. At the end of this race in the championship, in this glorious fight to the finish in Abu Dhabi. Meanwhile, Isaac Hadjar has been trying to make some moves on Pierre Gasly for quite some time, and he has got past Pierre Gasly in 16th place. Down the back straight, we can see what happened here when it came up against the Alpine. Easy pass.
It's been great teamwork between Will Joseph, the engineer, and Lando Norris. He's really sort of like, come on, do this and do that. I think we can still come back at it, and he has been able to do that. Piastri holding Russell off pretty comfortably as well.
Yeah, when Ted was talking about it a few laps ago, the threat was kind of there from Russell. That's just faded away now. So Piastri's just running a lonely race in fifth, picking up points here for Oscar Piastri with his recent race results. Well, fourth place, of course, in Singapore, didn't finish in Azerbaijan, got the podium in Italy, last win, Dutch Grand Prix in the...
It's mad. Lewis 8 points.
So the only 16 races of this season, the last points haul has been still pretty good for Piastri. Those around him have been better.
The championship is going mad, man. Norris has got a chance now. Max has got a chance. Every single one of them's got a chance, mate.
Absolutely, and of course winning the sprint as well yesterday.
It looks like it looks like we've got about 4 or 5 drivers that can literally come back. You know, Piastri seems to be taking his eye off the ball.
Out in front. He's got cars ahead of him. He's barely had anything ahead of him all race long. Those cars are back markers. Bortoletto is good friends.
Piastri in 5th, Hamilton in 4th, Leclerc there sitting there in 3rd, just being passed by Norris.
Bortoletto will race this to the end too. We'll see how that goes with Verstappen waiting to lap them.
Yeah, they haven't been giving any blue flag warnings yet. Until Max is within 3 seconds of them, they won't start getting notifications up. Then when Max is within 1.2, the blue flags come out and they have to scamper out of the way. He doesn't actually have to overtake them, I don't think. He doesn't want to, but I think he will want to and get ahead of them and keep that buffer. You never know what's going to happen with a last-minute safety car or something here.
Correct. That battle for the final points placing, I think, is going to Fernando Alonso. Lawson's dropped back. Stroll has dropped back from Lawson too. Ollie Behrman in 9th place. Could have been 7th. Was making a move on Yuki Tsunoda, and Tsunoda just chipped a bit to the left-hand side. Behrman had to take to the dirt.
Right, both cars are managing here, so we should need to hold positions, please.
Because he's managing Franco. The trouble is he's slow and he's forcing you into the path of Gabriel Bortoletto. So I absolutely see why you would want to get past your teammate. Behrman in 9th, Tsunoda in 7th. Hulkenberg got ahead of Behrman after he went onto the dirt, got a load of dust on his tyres.
Bortoletto then has just had his first warning blue flag to let the leader through. He'll need to do that in the pit straight. He'll need to yield and let Max go up the inside. It's always great peril for the leader coming through when cars are
He's
swapping
going for it, he's
like
not holding
this.
positions. There we go, and they come very, very close together at the top of the hill. Gasly goes wide, he's forced out by Michael Alonso, who does make the move and get the place, despite being told to hold positions. He's up to 17th.
Yeah, well, it's scrap over 17th and 16th and 17th and 18th, isn't it? But so a long way back. But I think you do that, wouldn't you? You do the move and then you worry about the briefing later.
Yeah, and he is. He's still racing, of course, for a future next season at the team, Franco Colapinto. He says the team would just say, keep doing what you're doing. And they would like to be a lot higher up the grid, I'm sure. He's got the fight in him, he's got the spirit in him, and we know that he can make overtakes. We've seen it before.
Colapinto's really struggling. He's fighting for his career, isn't he? So I don't blame him.
Absolutely. Gasly is now lapped, Bortoletto is lapped. And sometimes time tonight, Max Verstappen might celebrate, get a little bit tipsy, who knows? But Shabuzi is there, waiting to wave the checkered flag and a whole new bar song for him. And I could do a few more Shabuzi gags if you want, but it's a long walk home, so I won't.
I was on the grid, but I didn't find him.
It's a shame. He's great. Love his music. Verstappen from Norris, 7.2 seconds.
Final lap, final lap.
Verstappen's been lapping people. Charles Leclerc's on for a first podium for Ferrari in 5 races. As we start the final lap here, behind Max Verstappen, Gabriel Bortoletto getting very close to Pierre Gasly. Tries to get past him, accelerating down the hill. Gasly's really struggling. It might look like Bortoletto could get that one. For Max Verstappen, though, came into this weekend, Martin, alongside Lewis Hamilton with a dream of becoming the first driver to win 7 Formula One Grand Prix in the United States of America. That dream is about to come true.
I think you're absolutely right. No commentator's curse, but he has been serene all afternoon, and he looks every bit serene right now as he heads for home from the far end of the racetrack on the hairpin of turn 11.
In Hungary 6 races ago, Max Verstappen was a minute and 12 seconds behind the race winner. Since then, second in Holland, first in Italy, first in Baku, second in Singapore, and about to go back to the top step of the podium here. He's had what? A win in the last
Max has come a long way, I gotta admit. I didn't like him at the beginning, but he's come a long way, man. Any race now he's racing, it's so matured. It's like, he moves like a grown man now. Have him at Merc, he will destroy the rest of the perks. Final lap, final corners, here it comes.
Verstappen crosses the line, wins the US Grand Prix, and it has been Max attack and Max success all weekend long for him. Lando Norris finishes second.
Lando second.
Third. Can Lewis Hamilton hang on to 4th place? He thinks he's got a puncture. Piastri
Oh, Luis has got a puncture.
more now as Charles Leclerc finishes third and picks up that podium. Look how wide Hamilton wins around the final corner.
Oh,
Get to the line in front because the line comes at you quickly. Hamilton holds on before.
oh, he finished 4th.
Finishes 5th. George Russell 6th.
That was final lap. You think he had a puncture,
Final point scoring place with
but he held on to finish 4th. Ferrari, mate, they've got it right. They got it spot on today, but unfortunately not the pace. It would have been nice to finish 3rd or 2nd for Luis, but they got third position there. Leclerc got a trophy there. Russell's coming around. Antonelli there. That's it. Antonelli 13th. Russell 6th. Hamilton 4th. Leclerc 3rd. Norris 2nd. Verstappen, obviously, the king. He's finally won 7 races. But, level up with Hamilton. 7 races. It's not every, race driver can do that. I just wished his first championship didn't tarnish the rest of it. The first one tarnished so much for him.
Thank you very much, everyone. And we did select updates.
Well done, Max. That was proper domination. What to say? You got everything this weekend.
Yeah, really.
They dominated everything, man. Dominated from start to finish. He dominated them. Norris is not. Norris can't cope, man. He can't cope. The way Leclerc defended against him, if he was against Max, they would probably crashed. But Leclerc showed him a lot of respect, left him a lot of room. Every corner, every DRS position, lane.
This ain't Shark, this is happening on the land, this is T-Rex. And yes, I know there were 3 people in the Jeep in Jurassic Park, thanks for everyone who pointed that one out to me. But
P3 for Charles.
Good job. Good recovery this weekend. Yeah, it's good to be back on the podium, and I think we worked really well this weekend, so good job.
Don't worry, Charles, we will.
Yeah, I think actually that's the bigger point, is how they recovered the weekend, because strategically, in the end, he started third and finished third, right? You know, it gave him a bit of track position for a while, but it did work out on the whole. More impressively for me is they looked nowhere on Friday, and he's recovered into the podium, his 6th podium of the season, and that's great. And third and fourth for the team as well.
George Russell wasn't on the pace. Oscar Piastri wasn't really on the pace. He actually finished.
Yeah, that's it. That's us done for the day with this one. Max wins the Austin Grand Prix, USA, the war zone. You know, he's grown so much, man. He's come a long way, Max. Yeah, he dives into his team, dived in there, smashed it. Norris finished second, man. The guy, I don't know. I don't know. All that talk he's been talking, he's got one of the fastest cars, but he still can't make it. He still can't. Your driver of the day is Charles. Charles is your driver of the day. Lewis came fourth. I mean, Ferrari, they did well today. They could have done so much better. They could have at least had second and third podium, but, you know, McLaren is just too fast. Well, with that being said, I think I'll end this stream here. I've streamed today quite a lot. Spend more time here. I'm gonna go into my midnight stream now, where you can you know, you can put it on. If you're struggling to sleep, you'll be able to use that sound. That sound will be able to help you to sleep, just on the volume that's where you want to use it. I use it almost every night for myself, and I use it to go to sleep, calming, chilling, you know. That's the next stream. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for liking. I hope you all have a good rest of the weekend.